In this video, we're going to do a side-by-side comparison of Ableton Push 3 against the AKAI APC 64. We'll look at the main differences between the two, what are the strong points of each controller, and ultimately work out which one is the best Ableton controller for you. So first and most obvious point is the size. The APC 64 is notably smaller than the Push 3. Push 3 is slightly bigger than the Push 2 as well, so it is overall the biggest controller. And also the APC 64 is surprisingly light. It feels a bit plasticky and doesn't feel very stable and durable, whereas the Push 3 is built like a tank. With that said, I have the standalone version here and it's heavy. If you're thinking about taking these controllers out with you, the Push 3, although it's standalone, it does weigh quite a lot and it's quite big, so it will need a separate bag. The overall layouts are roughly the same. We have these horrible touch strip pads on the APC 64, which, if you haven't already guessed it, I am not a fan of. I think they are super clunky. You have the option to change what they do here, but I find that you can accidentally touch things and change things by accident. And also live, they are a bit too sensitive for me. I just prefer a good old rotary control like on the Push. Now we have the main kind of track select buttons here, so as a Push. The thing I don't like about this is how these track selects are down the bottom here. Now on the Push, it's really cool because you press play and it stops, whereas if you press play on here and play again, it simply keeps playing. You have a separate stop button, which I think is a bit unnecessary. That leads me on to my next point, which is with the Push, one of the main things is you do not need to touch the computer. You can load instruments, audio effects, navigate around devices and samples and everything with this amazing screen. You don't have the ability to do this on the APC 64. You have a little screen down here. I mean, it's the smallest screen ever, but it does really help because if you're trying to configure stuff, this is your usual configuration page, which if you're like me, you don't know what's going on here, looks more like a game of Tetris. This screen tells you what the settings are and will help you. We have our usual controls like fixed length, quantize, shift, undo. We have our scene launch buttons down here, which are all relatively in a similar sort of area. We have our record arm, mute, solo, clip, stop all here, which acts as almost like the same as this. Main thing again we don't have is these amazing new navigational jog wheels that the Push has, which really speeds up the workflow. And again, this massive screen. One of the main selling points of the Push 3 are the new MPE pads, which stands for MIDI polyphonic expression, which basically means we have polyphonic expression of the pads. We can slide up, we can pitch bend to the left and right. And also we've got that poly aftertouch. Now the notes on the APC just have the poly aftertouch. Also, another thing I don't like about the APC, if you look here, it lights up everywhere where you play this note, which on the Push, it doesn't do that as much. Just thought I'd make a note, such a little thing, but something to be aware of. Now, the other thing is the Push boasts a audio interface, so you can record directly into Ableton Live via USB, or if you're using the standalone, you can record directly into the standalone, which you cannot do on the AKAI APC 64. Now it has some good connections on the back. It has MIDI over mini TRS and it has CV over mini jack as well. Now one good thing about the APC is they supply you with the adapters and they have mini jacks for the CV out. Now the Push, annoyingly, the CV outs come out of a 1/4" stereo jack, which you have to buy the adapters for from the website. You also have to buy the adapters for the MIDI as well, which if you're spending nearly £1,600 on a controller, at least they could supply the adapters for you. Like, come on, Ableton. There's a couple of things that the AKAI can do that the Push 3 can't do, which is it has this thing called chord mode. What that does is it harmonizes the pads in note modes and stacks a certain amount of intervals on top of that note, creating chords. And it does this to a chosen key and a chosen scale. So the chords are all diatonic. If you see here, I've done a video kind of dissing this controller in a bit more detail. You can go in and see how much I don't like that feature. It feels very clunky and the chords really don't sound that great. You don't get many voicing opportunities. I think if you just spent a little bit of time learning the chord shapes, it would sound a lot better really quickly. In fact, I've done another video somewhere up here on how you can learn just 2 shapes, and that will give you most of the chords in note mode on the APC and the Push 3. The other thing is it has a step sequencer. Now, what's interesting about this step sequencer, this can be used as a standalone device. So it doesn't work the same as a standalone Push, meaning that it doesn't have like a processor, RAM, and storage. But what it can do is it can store patterns that you can then play to your modular and your MIDI gear. Now, with that said, the step sequencer is very limited. There's other hardware sequencers out there that will blow this out of the water. You have a little quarter down here that would either play notes or it will play drum pads. It also has the velocities, probability, or mutate. You don't have the ability to choose the loop length or tie loops together like you do on the Push in the drum mode. Now, it is good having that as a standalone feature, but I feel there are better sequencers out there on the market, and I feel the Push is a little bit better. It's just nice that the CV outs are small, mini jacks, and there's no adapters required. So then there's just the small issue of price. Now, if we look, the Push 3 is a staggering £879 if you want to get the controller version. If you want to get the standalone version, it's £1,669. Woo, well, that's quite expensive, right? If you're not interested in the audio interface, MPE pads, and you're not too bothered about controlling Ableton directly from the screen, then APC might be an option for you. And if you can get your head around using these touch strips, which I can't do it, but you might not be as bothered by them as me. I think the APC is a tasty option. Look at this. It's around £276, which is a fraction of the cost of the Push 3. Now, if you're not aware of those prices and you've only just found out, you're probably reassessing your options and thinking, yeah, see you later, Push 3. Hello, AKAI APC 64. It's a really big selling point for the APC 64. For that price, you are packed with lots of features. Having said that, if you do like the Ableton Push 3 and you're not bothered by the MPE pads, the connections on the back, or the audio interface, or the standalone features, but you don't want to pay £800, you're more in the budget of the APC 64, why not check out a second-hand Push 2 controller? They are going really cheap at the moment. If you look here, we've got them for around the $250 to $280 sort of mark, which puts you in the same price range as the APC. And then you get quite a lot more features. So who do I think should get which one? Now, if you're looking for a controller to have in your studio, sketch ideas with Ableton, and be fully integrated with Ableton, I would look at the Push 3. It's great for loading up instruments, controlling instruments on the screen, and it's fantastic for getting a standalone, taking it out, sketching ideas, sending them to live and expanding upon them later. Having said that, I think the APC 64 is great for someone that's playing live. It's very small, very portable, very compact, and you can control a lot of features for a live show. Overall, AKAI have packed a lot of great features into the AP64 for a really great price. It's perfect for Ableton Live session view. It offers a chord mode and a step sequencer, which some of you might find handy. However, if you are seeking more expression, audio interface, deeper integration with Ableton Live, despite the high price tag, the Ableton Push 3 might be a better option for you. Love to know your thoughts on this, which controller you prefer, which one you have. Drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll hopefully catch you in a video sometime again soon.